awesome tweet from Michael Pruitt. You're a mean one, Mr. Pruitt. The nice guys, they're in Canton with this message for you.
Hi everybody, my name is Mike Crawford. I'm the president and CEO of the Hall of Fame Resort and Entertainment Company. There are a lot of big things going on in our company, and I'd like to tell you about a few of them. We have a wonderful developmental academy with the NFL Alumni Association. Secondly, we've started our Hall of Fantasy League that will be unlike any other. We've begun construction of Phase 2 of our destination, the Hall of Fame Village, powered by Johnson Controls, and we look forward to welcoming you here in Canton, Ohio in the near future.
Ho, ho, ho. And welcome everyone into our Hall of Trivia on HQ, our football and fantasy sports themed trivia show sponsored by the Hall of Fantasy League and the Hall of Fame Resort and Entertainment Company. I am Jeff Eisenman and I will be your offensive coordinator on tonight's trivia sled as we drive right into your phone. It's Christmas Eve and I want to deliver as many winners and as much cash as possible. Let's head right to the Start Sit Fantasy Pick 'em Pool brought to you by the Hall of Fantasy League. Each week we give you 2 or more players and you pick the player you think will score the most fantasy points that week, get the most wins by the end of the contest, and you, whoever's left, you'll be getting a $10,000 grand prize, or at least a part of that $10,000 grand prize. And do I have some news for you? We are going to run this Start Sit Fantasy Pick 'em Pool. This is breaking news through the conference championship round of the playoffs, so right up before the Super Bowl. And I have an update on the standings, folks. Immortalica is in first place with 8 wins, so congrats to Immortalica right now. Then we have 13 users with 7 wins. No one is undefeated, and anything can happen in these next few weeks. Now, last week we had Justin Herbert versus Derek Carr, and I'm just sorry to everyone that picked Derek Carr because he got injured in the first few minutes. That was 46% of you. 54% of you getting Justin Herbert. You got a W. And this week, it's Dalvin Cook against Alvin Kamara. I mean, this is a marquee running back matchup in the National Football League. All right, we're going to call this on HQ. Ready? Hut, 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 HQ. That means do the poll. Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara, who is going to have more fantasy points this week? They both play running back. They're both really good at football. They both score a lot of touchdowns. They get a lot of points. Saints, Vikings, but who will have more? You guys are feeling Dalvin Cook at 55%. It's going to be close. I can tell you that. That game is tomorrow on Christmas Day. No Thursday night football tonight. Now, let's do that trivia. I'm going to ask you 10 questions about the NFL and this past week in fantasy football. All questions are powered by our good friends at Sport Radar. If you get all questions right, you and whoever is left will split the prize pot of $2,500. That money will come right down the chimney into your account. Pop. Cha-ching. All right, it is time for opening kickoff, and it is time for Q1. What team allowed the Jets to get their first win of the season last week? The Rams, the Bills, or the Raiders? Rams, Bills, or the Raiders? Not only did the Jets win their first game, they did it against a probably playoff team. They beat the Rams, the LA Rams. That's right, somehow, some way, and 12,100 of you recognizing what went down in Los Angeles. Now the Jets are slotted to get the number 2 pick in the draft. So Trevor Lawrence, if you're watching out there, you probably got that right because you've been paying attention. Q2. Which of these is the name used by the passionate group of Cleveland Browns fans? The Dog Pound, the Sack Lunch Bunch, or the Bodega Boys? The Dog Pound, the Sack Lunch Bunch, or the Bodega Boys? Well, the Browns brand is strong, but it's not the Dog Pound. The dog mask wearing fans in the East bleachers in Cleveland. Congrats to almost everyone getting that right, 12,375. The Browns are about to make the playoffs for the first time since 2002, but they haven't played a home game since 19. Bill Belichick was the head coach of that team, and they beat the Patriots. Q3. Which fan base notoriously booed and threw snowballs at Santa Claus to end a 2-12 season in 1968? Was it the Bills, the Eagles, or the Browns? It snows in all of these stadiums, so geography is not going to help you here. As the story goes, on December 15th, 1968, the Eagles meant to host a Christmas pageant during halftime, but due to poor field conditions, they audibled to send a man dressed as Santa Claus. And then they proceeded to pelt him with 11,716 of you continuing to code. I'll tell you this, if you ask those Eagles fans today, would they have done it? How did they feel about it? They'd probably say something like, I'd do it again. Q4. Which team's defense that allowed the most in 2019? The Steelers, the Washington football team, or the Dolphins? Steelers, Washington football team, or the Miami Dolphins? Yes, Tua Tagovailoa has been a spark in Miami, but the Dolphins are in playoff position thanks to the stupid play of their defense. So Dolphins is the right answer. 8,272. Some of you dipped into Pittsburgh and Washington. The Dolphins are allowing just 18.4 points per game, and they have 26 takeaways. Both of those marks are number 1 in the National Football League. We're rolling to Q5. Who is the only running back to reach 1,500 rushing yards and 15 rushing TDs in each of the past 2 seasons? Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, or Derrick Henry? 2 of those guys, they're in our start-sit, but who is the answer? We should also mention that this guy has a few dozen nasty stiff arms this season, and poor Alexander Myers was his latest victim last week. The answer is Derrick Henry. The Titans' monster running back hit the 1,515 milestone for the second straight year last week, and 8,589 of you. Look, with those other guys in our start-sit, Cook and Kamara, I didn't know how this would end up, but not sleeping on Derrick Henry. All right, we've been moving along, but we're going to take a quick break halfway through the game. We're going to look at the halftime tweet and greet. I asked you on Twitter, who was your fantasy breakout player this year and why? You guys gave me some great answers. But in real life, not just in your fantasy league. So good pick right there. Now let's see if you can keep that good karma into Q6. What team has not started a rookie quarterback in 2020? The Jets, the Jaguars, or the Eagles? The Jets, the Jags, or the Eagles? A lot of green and teal in this question, and when you're playing poorly, you try the new guy. The Jags threw Jake Luton out there. Didn't work out, but they tried. And the Eagles have found lightning in Jalen Hurts. But the Jets, they've stuck with the household names. Maybe that's why they're 1-13. 7,439 of you. You thought about it, and you said, well, it's been Sam Darnold and Joe Flacco most of the year. And yeah, that's the way it's gone. And it's probably not going to be Trevor Lawrence. Might be Justin Fields next year for you Jets fans. Q7. With a minimum of 20 attempts, who is the only kicker who has hit 100% of his field goals this season? Rodrigo Blankenship, Jason Myers, or Younghoe Koo? I'm excited to see how you guys answered this one. Younghoe Koo might be the kicker of the year, drilling 35 of 36 field goals, including 8 over 50 yards. That's insane. But only one man can say he does not miss, and that's Jason Myers. He's 20 of 20 on the season, and that is a sacked question. So many of you going with Rodrigo Blankenship, and because of that, we're going to send J.J. Watt at you. And 437 of you knew that it was Jason Myers. I'm surprised no love for Youngway, even if he was the wrong answer. Q8. What team has won the greatest number of games as the betting underdog this season? The Bears, the Broncos, or the Dolphins? Also going to see how many of you used an extra life getting out on Q7 there. So many Rodrigo fans. Well, the Dolphins have been a surprise at 9-5 and are clinging to the AFC's last playoff spot. But it's the Bears who have won 6 games as an underdog this year. The Bears. The unfortunate part for them is they only have 7 wins, and we're sacked again! Another sack! Some of you got back in the game, and J.J. Watt, get right back on your horse. Let's run it back, J.J. Listen, the Broncos have, when I saw this question, I actually thought about the Broncos and the Dolphins, but the Broncos, because I know they've stolen a couple games, but it's the Bears 6 times this year. All right, Q9, some of you used that extra life. We might get some big cash on Christmas Eve tonight. Q9, what team overcame the largest halftime deficit to win this season? The Cowboys, the Broncos, or the Falcons? Bringing some teams back who've been around, other questions tonight. Where are we going with this one? Well, you got to go all the way back to week 2, where the Cowboys came back from being down 29-10 at halftime against the Falcons to win 40-39. After that, it's been all downhill in Dallas. That was back when Dak Prescott was slinging it 450 passing yards in that game. Do you know he had a 500 passing yard game this season? 1,492 of you. Going on to this final question. All right, I don't want to see the Steelers. The Steelers have lost 3 straight. They were 11-0. Don't be the Steelers right now. Let's finish strong, a la Chiefs. Q10 is on the way. The final question. The big 1-0. Who we got? What do we got? Do we have those of you that want to cash in $2,500 on the line right here? Q10. Who is the only active receiver to reach 300 receiving yards in a single game? Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, or Julio Jones? Which one of these beasts of wide receivers hit that 300 receiving yard mark? In a single game, active receiver could have happened anytime. There have only been 6 300-yard receiving games in history, and the only ones to do it this century were Megatron, Calvin Johnson, and Julio Jones. Julio went for 300 on the dot in 2016, and only 960 of you got that. I'm surprised Tyreek didn't get more love with the game that he had earlier this year with that big first quarter. But those of you that took Julio Jones, you are our winners tonight. You are going home with some cash in your stocking. More than me. I wasn't able to participate, so I just hit 0 on my account. But some of you, Julio Jones, he might be hurt. He might not be playing, but he hooked you up. Let's see who we got as our big winners for this Christmas Eve edition. $260. I'll give you $2.60. TWS 7-3. How about Storic 0? Knock it down. 261. Eliana looking out into the abyss, and how about take your money, we'll give you over 250. SWKSF, very cute frogs. Hellman 1. Oh man, who else we got here? We got Lucas 934 cleaning up. Stonk 0. You are one of our winners. Wow. Congrats to all of the winners tonight. Maybe you're a new winner like the Jets, or maybe you're a consistent winner like the Chiefs. Either way, act like you've been there before and use that extra holiday cheddar wisely. We play Hall of Trivia every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right before Thursday Night Football. Usually, not anymore. There's no more Thursday Night Football. So pay close attention to all that goes down in the football and fantasy week. And for more news and information on the Hall of Trivia, follow us on social at HQ Sports and at the HOF League. As always, a special thanks to our sponsors, the Hall of Fantasy League and the Hall of Fame Resort and Entertainment Company. I've been your host, Jeff Eisenband. Hit me up right there if you just want to talk shop. You know, trivia, sports, esports, whatever you want to talk about. Until next time, have the best fantasy version of your week. Score some touchdowns. Don't get vultured. Happy holidays. I will see you soon.